What's going on, my people? Welcome to another episode of Pretty Boss TV. And I wanted to talk about something today that, well, it's one of my favorite topics. But I do want to talk about something, it's things that I've been dealing with. And I feel like it's a time to speak about this from a different perspective. Now, I want to talk about the benefits of sexual discipline. In our world today, sex is really been like just smushed in our faces, and it's been like this since I was a child, but it's like now it seems like the world has just cheapened itself. You know what I mean? Like, sex is so easily accessible, really, you know what I mean? And we're not going to talk about all the sexual deviations and all that type of stuff going on, the transformations the Transformers and all that. We're not going to get into that, but this is about sexual discipline. And this is for my ladies, but I feel like real men can definitely benefit from this too, because you can step your game up also, okay? A lot of times when we think about sexual discipline, it's placed on a woman. Like, women should be have sexual discipline, women shouldn't be loose, this, that, and the third. And a lot of times men are like, giving a scapegoat route, like, well, the men are just being men are going to be men. But I'm going to let y'all know y'all can benefit from this too, because sexual discipline benefits both males and females. The reason I talk about sexual discipline, for one, discipline in life is important. I cannot tell you how many people come to me and are like, Kendra, I want to be self-employed. How do you live the life you live? What do you do? I told y'all before, people think that taking the photography route is the way to success just because that was my part of my journey. But I'm going to tell you this now. Discipline is the reason that I'm self-employed. You see what I'm saying? Just like I talk about people who go to college. College isn't for everybody. If you know that you don't have the discipline to do what you need to do when you don't want to do it, because that's what discipline is about. Discipline is about doing things that you don't want to do, even though you need to do it. That's the difference, okay? So being self-employed is the same thing. Just like I had to discipline myself to finish college, and now I'm pursuing my master's. That's almost out the way, thank goodness. But just like I have to have discipline to do that when I don't want to do that, I have to have discipline to study when I really want to hang out with my family. I had to have discipline to study when I really wanted to be partying back in my undergrad days. I had to have discipline. That's the same discipline that I use to be self-employed. I'm self-employed, so I don't have to wake up at a certain hour of the day. I don't have a certain schedule. Oh, I work Monday through Friday. I don't have any of that. There is no structure. The only structure that I have is the structure that I give myself, and I have to be disciplined to do that, because best believe when discipline falls away, so does everything else. If I wasn't disciplined enough to be self-employed, I wouldn't have been able to be self-employed for as long as I have been, okay? So fast forward, let's talk about sexual discipline. And the reason I want to talk about this is because although I told you I've been disciplined in other areas of my life, I've been disciplined in school, apparently I'm disciplined in business, but sexual discipline, this is when it got real, and that is when I really found out my true power as a woman. And not just a woman, man, I'm telling y'all can benefit from this too, but especially my ladies I'm talking to. We all hear about the power of the vagina, right? But the power of the vagina is not in throwing your vagina everywhere. That's not where the power is. You could be the most beautiful woman in the world, but as soon as you open them legs up, the interest, the anticipation, all of that goes out the window. So Plain Jane comes in the room next to you, Miss America, but if this man has already had you and there was no more depth to your relationship other than a sexual relationship, now Plain Jane, so-called Plain Jane, who he has never had, is way more appealing than Mrs. America. Do you see what I'm saying? So now let's get into sexual discipline. As some of you know, I've been celibate now for about 2 years. You know what I'm saying? Who's counting? Who's counting? You know what I'm saying? And I want to talk about the benefits that has come from sexual discipline. For one, in my relationship life, I've always had a certain degree of men after me, just on a physical level or even an intellectual level. I can't really tell you why a man is interested in me. I can only assume why different men are interested in me. But ladies, since this sexual discipline has been in place, the power, okay, my what do you call it? My leverage has been greater, you know. And when everybody, we've all had the time in our life where we've sold our royal oats. So I'm not coming on here as a self-righteous teacher. Even when I did the video about how to get wiped, that was a serious video. That when I talked about hoes and wives, I was not trying to disrespect any category. I was trying to make you think and really put yourself in a perspective, because see, what you want in life, you have to take the appropriate measures to get there. So conducting yourself this way and assuming that you're going to get these results, I'm just trying to give you a reality check. That's all I was saying. I'm not condemning anybody's behavior. You do what you want to do. We're all free people. I'm gonna live my life the way that I want, regardless of what anybody says or think, and I expect you to do the same, especially if you're listening to my YouTube videos. But the sexual discipline in my life has open my mind up into so many different ways. For one, when you have sexual discipline, you literally, your third eye, your intuition, your common sense, your logic is wide open. Women are emotional creatures. I've been at a point in my life where, when I came into the sexual world, I'm not gonna lie, when I became sexually active, it was never an emotional thing for me. That's why I can truly understand men who, when men say that sex and love are two different things. I completely, like, within my own self and my experience, I get that. Okay, and then I came to the other side where I started, as I grew up and I came into my first true love, which has still only been my only true love till today, even though I'm over that. But when I came into my first relationship where I experienced somebody that I was in love with and he was in love with me, that's when sex changed for me. That's when sex transformed from being just a sexual thing into an emotional thing. And even till today, I understand that as a woman, if I lay down with a man, especially how I am spiritually, mentally, intellectually, emotionally, I know that I'm giving all of these parts of myself to this person. So I can't afford to just open myself up to just anybody. You see what I mean? But since I've had this sexual discipline in my life, I don't want to speak on everything, but what I will say is this. I get way more out of life, and I get way more out of relationships. Okay? Way more out of relationships. As a woman, the power is not necessarily in using your vagina, even though there does come a time and a place to use it. I'll have other videos coming on that. The power is in not using your vagina. Okay? And like I said on my other video, it's not about giving it to all these men and then just, oh, this man I really want, I'm not going to give it to him. Men are not simple like that. Men aren't stupid. And your aura, you can't fake your aura. A man can, you have a different aura as a woman who hasn't been giving herself freely from a woman who has been giving herself freely. It's just, it's an aura thing. Your energy doesn't lie. You see what I'm saying? That's why when I'm all about being truthful to yourself. It's not about putting on, because people who are open and people who are tapped in, you can't put on for people like that. Maybe you'll be able to put on for people who's not tapped in, but then again, are those the people that you're really seeking and that you really want in your life? Probably not, because they're probably not even manifesting themselves to a mastery level. So those aren't even necessarily people that you want. You see what I mean? So ladies, the power is in not using the vagina, okay? And I can't force anybody to do this. When I was, it was a point in time when I was in the church, as I told y'all about, where I tried to be celibate, and it lasted maybe 6 months, but I was dying the whole time. Like, the whole time, my root chakra's fires was just blazing. I couldn't take it. It was hard. It was like I was trying to be celibate, but sex was just still just totally consuming my mind. And it seemed like the more that I tried to be celibate, the more I thought about sex, and I just ended up having to get it again. Fast forward now, my sexual discipline ended up happening. My circumstances changed, and it put me into a place where I was like, okay, this is not a favorable position for me to be having sex. I was at a point in my life where my circumstances were just not conducive to me having sex. And so within those circumstances, that's when my spiritual journey took to a whole new level. I won't say that's when it began. That's when it transformed into something completely different. And as I started to tap in, I was heavy on my meditations. I was just heavy on connecting with myself. Then I started to experience, that's when I started to experience celibacy and sexual discipline to a whole new level. I'm going to tell you, since I've had sexual discipline, the quality of men that I attract to my life, I mean, they're still, trust me, that you still going to attract all kind of people you don't want, people that you're not interested in. But for the main part, the people who I'm interested in, who I attract into my life, is to a whole different level. You see what I'm saying? To a whole different level. And I have control over myself. There's nothing that feels better than self-control. I'm going to just say that. When you have self-control, it's not to be like, oh, I have self-control, I'm celibate. It's for you. It's not to prove a point to anyone. When you have self-control, there's no greater gift than that. There's no greater gift than not being able to be seduced. There's no greater gift than being tempted when you're weak. Because when you don't have the sexual discipline, a lot of times we fall for people and we do things with people that we wouldn't do under normal circumstances. But since you really want it, since you know it's scratching at you, the fires are fuming within, we end up dealing with people that we wouldn't even deal with under normal circumstances. You see what I'm saying? Sexual discipline gives you clarity. It gives you clarity and it gives you power. We ain't even gonna get on that. I got a video coming. That was a sneak peek. That was a sneak peek. It gives you power. And we can sit here and fake like, oh, life's not about power. It's not about respect. It's yada, yada, yada. It is. Life is about power. All right? And it's about the power that you have over your own reality. Without sexual discipline, I mean, I know that men can even attest for this. How many men, even a lot of times we look at men, and I'm not going to even point out any particular race of men, even though I'm pretty sure you can think in your own mind who I'm talking about. But there are certain men that are just like thirsty. Like, especially these days, like men are lusting so badly that they literally can't tell the difference between a transsexual man and a real woman. Like, who does that? Like, you can't tell the titties is a little bit too extra popping. Like, you might actually be able to pop them with a pen. You can't tell. You know what I mean? You can't tell. You know, and that's a whole nother story for another day. But that's the lack of sexual discipline. You don't have sexual discipline to the point that you can't even decipher and distinguish a transsexual from a woman. And I believe that transsexuals should reveal themselves. But you take responsibility for yourself. Don't make somebody else have to take responsibility for you. That's like me sleeping with somebody who's racist and being like, well, he should have told me he was racist. I didn't know I was his fetish. You should have been able to distinguish that. But since you were so thirsty for something, either sexual gratification, emotional gratification, which is usually what people engage in sex for, is to stimulate their emotions and give them emotional satisfaction. Since you didn't have the discipline, you couldn't see and you got. So I wanted to make a quick video about this. I didn't want to make this long. I got more videos coming where I'm going to be talking about this. I'm probably about to do one right after this about how do celibates get their sexual release. That's the video I'm doing right after this. Because don't think that we're prudes just because we not opening up the vajayjay or slinging around the pee-pee. So I love y'all. Make sure that you like, comment below, let me know what y'all think about this, subscribe. I got more videos coming. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.